So we're on. This week, we've got Steve from Primetime Watch Repairs in Lancashire with us. Mate, welcome.
Thank you very much, mate. Nice to be here.
Yeah, mate, pleasure. It's a gift, really, mate, because you're not that far away from us in comparison to some of the guests that we've had on.
Yeah, it was a quick half-an-hour train ride in, so not too bad.
Mate, our paths crossed 4 years ago now, about that.
Yeah.
I think I stumbled into your dad's shop in town, which is Phoenix.
Yeah. Let's give a shout out to the family business in Liverpool there.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Who have been going forever, in fairness.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And I was looking at the time, mate, for someone to help sang in the UK and Europe. And Phoenix kind of told me that it wasn't quite for them, but I needed to speak to you. I made the call. We had a coffee up in your shop. You'd just gone on your own, mate, and then our bromance was born, as they say, mate.
So we were pretty much doing trade work for the first 12 months. So it was nice because it was a closed shop. We sort of did appointments only. But yeah, it was mostly, I was just doing trade work for jewelers and actually doing watch building for some brands as well.
Yeah.
At the time, it was just a bit more relaxed, just sort of closed off from the world. But
absolutely,
sitting in a workshop all day and then going home when you want.
Yeah.
A little bit different now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, mate, what I like to do with guys on a podcast, mate, is really start from the beginning. Who are you? Where are you from? Where did you grow up? How did you find yourself getting ready to enter the watch space?
Well, so obviously my dad used to work for In Time Watch Repairs, who were based in Southport years and years ago. And he worked in the kiosk in Lewis's department store, literally 5 minutes away there. And when I was a kid, I used to deliver leaflets for him. So I'd go into town and he'd give me a load of leaflets to take around the city centre.
Yeah.
And he'd give me a bit of money for doing that. And he used to have the best days when I used to do that. I used to stand outside all the watch repairs, just giving out leaflets. And as I got a little bit older, I went to Liverpool Uni. I was doing architecture in Liverpool Uni. Just really wasn't for me, uni. Just didn't enjoy it. So after about 3 months, I thought, right, I just want to go. I was working part-time for him anyway. I just thought, I want to do it full-time. I was enjoying it. It was good fun. And just, I think just jumping into earning money. I think my family are quite entrepreneurial.
Okay.
Even my mum, the same. She's had a few businesses. So it just felt natural to jump into it and learn as much as I can. And when I've become quite obsessed with stuff. So once I get into something, I just want to be as good as I can. And it's it's 24 hours. You go home and you read about it. Obviously now it's crazy. You can watch videos and
it's endless
content. Yeah, it's just as I get older, I find myself watching less and less, and actually wanted to turn away from it now.
Yeah.
Probably because it's took so much of my life up to date.
I think the deeper you get into it, mate, and certainly entering it in a business standpoint or as your job, as your trade, etc.
Yeah.
Jaded is a wrong word, but you're exposed to it so much, you need escapism from what was once escapism.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what it was for a lot of us at the beginning.
I think now, as soon as I leave work, I'm just, I'm not interested in watching watch videos and things like that anymore. But I'll be thinking about, I need that part from today that I couldn't find. So let's go searching on eBay or around the internet through my contacts, try and get that part that just is unavailable everywhere through the trade contacts. So that becomes part of my life now. You never stop working really when you've got your own business. It is 24/7, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You stop the 9 to 5 to work 24/7. It's nuts, mate. It's nuts. So you obviously Liverpool Uni, doing bits with your dad.
Yeah, so I started off in Lewis's department store myself.
Did you?
So when he obviously bought Phoenix, we also opened another kiosk in Lewis's.
Yeah.
So I started working in there with a guy called Brian, who we used to just do all the batteries and straps and obviously take repairs in. So I sort of started there around 17, 18.
Yeah.
And that's where you build your confidence with customers, and you're in sales, aren't you, really, at the start of it. You have to learn to be a bit more charismatic, and I think it's good for people to go into retail to learn how to talk to customers. When you speak to some watchmakers, they're quite insular, they're quite hard to bring them out
Yeah.
Lack of confidence, really. A lot of watchmakers like to be in the corner and headphones in, not talk to anyone all day.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I'm just quite...
social butterfly, mate.
I quite like to get out there. I like chatting to people. And I think even when I started on my own, for the first 12 months, I couldn't wait to get back into retail again. Missed the customer pitter-patter, sort of chatting to people, because every watch has got a story.
Yeah.
And that's the side you don't get when you're just doing trade work.
Of course.
So when you get to speak to the customer, you learn where the watch has come from.
All the... That's the exciting bit. I think, mate, there's different types of people in a business, isn't it? There are those who deal with it as a business in a transactional sense. And then you have people like us, mate, who are pests to the hobby and everything else. Do you know what I mean? Who happen to be in it. So the interesting side of it is the story. It's the backstory. Where did this come from? Whose was this? What happened?
It doesn't matter like what the value of the watch is neither. It's everything's got, it might just be like a small brand, but it might have been somebody's granddad's, or it's been passed down to someone. It means a lot to them.
Yeah.
And so you learn that you can't be like dismissive of any watch.
Of course.
And that's the beauty of being an independent watch repairer.
Yeah.
Is that you don't have to say, you're not doing the same thing all day, every day. Every day is totally different. Yeah. You get a different brand in all the time, and you've got to work around all the problems. And also, the stories behind every watch it's really nice when you give something back to someone and you can see their face and how appreciative they are.
What it means,
Yeah, what it means to them.
Yeah. These are emotional objects, mate, and we attach ourselves to them, attach parts of our lives to them. And it means things to a lot of people. So how long were you with your dad over at Phoenix, mate? Like,
it was probably, 17, probably nearly 20 years.
Wow.
Quite a long time.
That is a hell of a long time. And your main role there, aside from learning the stories and everything else.
Once you start off cleaning the stairs and making the coffee, and then you start doing technician work, so you're doing batteries, smaller jobs, glasses, replacing crowns, changing watch straps, serving the clients, working on the counter, learning that side of it. And then you start slowly moving into the workshop and doing the more complex work. Servicing mechanical watches, then more complicated mechanical watches. And then, so I spent quite a lot of time learning that on the job, and obviously with my dad and the staff that we had at the time who were a bit more experienced than me. And then I decided that I wanted to go and do a bit of training at the BHI, the British Horological Institute, which is based in Newark.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, when you're in a family business and you need to be there, the other way of getting a watchmaking qualification is to go to somewhere like WASTEP.
Yeah.
So they're based in Switzerland, but they also have the British School of Watchmaking in Manchester.
Yes.
And they do a 2-year course or a 1-year course. But if you're already working and you're needed on site, it's quite difficult to just disappear for 2 years.
Of course.
So I'd sort of past that point.
Yeah.
So the BHI was perfect for me because it was a week.
Yeah.
I already had the skills; they just needed refining.
Yeah.
And the teacher there, John, was superb. A Swiss-trained teacher. So we started off with a manual wind, basic mechanical course, really.
Yeah.
You just take the watch apart over a week, put it back together, oil it, check it. And then the year after, I did an automatic day-date course. The year after, I did a chronograph course. And all the while, you're repairing these watches.
Of course, yeah.
But the good thing about the BHI is they put your work under the microscope and on the TV, and all the pupils can see it. And so you're under a little bit of pressure to make sure that yours is the best, because sometimes you'd have a few hobbyists in there and you'd be the only watchmaker in there.
Yes.
It was only when you got to the chronograph course that it was for watchmakers.
Yeah.
We all had a laugh. We were all in the trade, so it was good fun. So I highly recommend the BHI.
Yeah.
And I've done a bit of work with them. We were corporate sponsors for a little bit.
Yeah.
I was on the board for a little bit as well.
Wow.
And just after COVID, I actually got my fellowship. So I've got FBHI after my name.
Wow.
Which is quite cool. But yeah, they were superb. So I've learned a lot of skills. You could see in the industry that people, if you ever go for a job somewhere, people ask you for certificates or...
Yeah.
But I was time served. So this was my way of like going to get some certificates just to say, right, I've done this. And
of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Nice to go away from home for a week and just talk watches. Solid for a week. Really loved it. And it's just progressed from there, really.
Of course. So you did that throughout your time with your dad and working at Phoenix, and then obviously you got to a point where you're like, right, okay, well, I kind of want to plough my own field a little bit here.
Yeah, it got to a point. I think you get to a certain age. Like, I had a little boy on the way. We were going to move house. We were moving into the country. We were moving out of the way.
Yeah.
So it just sort of felt like a natural time to go and do my own thing, and it sort of excited me as well. Like I'd spent a lot of time. I mean, the nice thing about working with a family business is that you learn all aspects of the business. So as a watchmaker, you may just spend a lot of time in the workshop, but I was doing a lot of the business side as well. So I was learning the ropes on, paying bills, learning how to deal with staff, and did a bit of everything. So social media, I was quite big on that. So I started up with that, the website, things like that. So I was confident, and I was past 30. So I don't think I could have done it until I got past 30. So I got to a point where I thought, right, I'm confident now. I can do this on my own.
You've earned your stripes, as it say.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
Oh, massive. Yeah, massive.
When you've got a pregnant wife and you move in house and she's off for 9 months and you're like, right, okay, this is going to have to work.
Burn the boats, mate, as they say. Do you know what I mean?
Literally sold, I had a Rolex at the time, so I had to sell that. 5 vintage Amigas, sold that. So I raised about 15 grand, I think.
Yeah.
I had a bit of money put away as well. So watch repair tools are very expensive, which is probably why you don't see a lot of independents going the route that I've done. Because it will just, you need a tool for everything. And especially, boys' toys as well. I'm constantly looking for new tools that solve problems that I haven't even had yet.
Of course. Yeah. That's the nature. It's the same as anything in life, mate. Yeah. I think I was walking around, I think my missus dragged me into B&M or so. The range, it was the range the other day.
I love the range.
And I found this little tool that allows me to cut perfect angles in wood. Yeah. And I have no idea when I'm going to need that, but I know I'm going to need it. So I just bought it. I was like, that's perfect. It's
going
to
go in the garage and you'll never see it for 10 years, but that one day will come.
100%. Do you know what I mean? But that's the same in every aspect of our lives. You'll see something and you're like, oh, that'll be handy one day. Do you know what I mean? And you just pick it up. I imagine it's that, but tenfold with watches and watchmaking tools.
Sometimes you're walking around like B&Q, and even though it's nothing to do with watchmaking, you might think, that'll do a job, that, in the shop.
100%.
Or like you see storage cabinets, like little storage cabinets, just obsessed with storage because the amount of parts and trying to get everything organised. But you never stop buying stuff. It's constant.
So how long have you been on your own now, mate? How long has prime time been a thing?
3 years in September.
Wow.
So that's gone pretty quick. So obviously the first 12 months we were just dealing with the trade. And then I slowly transitioned. So I started off doing appointments with clients so they could come, drop a watch off, and then they book a time. I worked out like a system online where people could book in. And then the unit next door became available. And the people at Cedar Farm, which is where we work, it's a superb little place, Cedar Farm's got. There's like 30 odd independent small businesses there. So it just
I love coming up, mate.
Oh, it's so nice.
I love coming up.
They've got their own like coffee specialist there.
You got the chocolate guy as well. Yeah, it's amazing.
Wonka, we call him.
Yeah.
Best not get that mixed up. There's a bit of everything there, and they like run courses. There's a food hall, a cafe. Yeah, it's just such a nice place. Parking's free, which is massive. It's a pleasure to work there. So when the opportunity came to expand, I just snatched it. And luckily I met Mike, who's my colleague now. He works with me, and I've put him through the same BHI courses as I've done.
Right.
And also trained him up on site myself.
So did he have a history in on the job stuff as well?
Did, yeah. So he'd worked at In Time for a little bit as well. And then he left and was working in BMW.
Wow.
In the parts department.
Right, okay.
So, but he was still doing it from home.
Yeah.
And he was on Instagram, and he followed me, so I followed him back, and I was watching some of his repairs, and I thought, he's quite good. And he messaged me about getting into the industry. I think it was something he'd always wanted to do, and he loved the job. So I said, come in. I said, I'm not taking on at the moment. I'm thinking about expanding.
Let's have a coffee.
This was before I got the call. So I had a chat with him, said, right, I'll try and, speak to a few people, see if I can find you like a vacancy somewhere.
Yeah.
And then the day after I got the call about the empty unit next door, I just rang him straight back and said, job interview next week, come in, we'll have a chat.
Yeah.
And it's gone from there. He's a brilliant lad.
Yeah.
Like really listens.
Yeah.
And now he's doing like chronographs, Rolexes. Wow. He's superb, really good watchmaker. Just gets in, gets his head down.
Yeah, cracks on.
So that's what you want.
100%. Yeah, so much is to be
really
said.
Lucky. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So the retail side's just grown. Like started off, I think you first open, you take like £10 on your first day and you're like, oh no, what have I done?
This is real. This is real.
This is going to hit. But yeah, I think word of mouth and the website is it's got busier and busier.
Well, I've watched your journey, mate. Almost from the beginning, I think you were just about like set up in Cedar Farm when I found you.
Yeah.
And I remember coming up and just looking around like, where are we? Like, and then I saw the chocolate man, I saw the coffee people. I was like, I want to work here. Do you know what I mean? This is amazing.
It's a lovely like family place.
Yeah.
Good to bring the kids and sit down and have a coffee.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But I've watched you grow. You were in that one room at the beginning.
Yeah.
And we had our little consultation or meeting on the outside of that on one of the the shared desks that were upstairs.
Yeah.
And slowly now you're growing. It's more people, there's more rooms, there's more stuff. And just looking at your page on Instagram, just the effort you put into having like a sterile working place, it's unreal.
Yeah. Well, I think the issue with the industry now is that you have to have really high standards if you want to get out there and get brand accreditations. So the industry's really, really difficult to crack as an independent. So you find a lot of people go to the bigger brands who've spent fortunes on the workshop and got all the tools. As an independent now, I mean, years ago, you used to be able to just buy the basic tools and you'd be away, you'd be all right.
Yeah.
And you'd be able to get parts.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a lot of the brands have got part restrictions unless you meet certain criteria.
So explaining that as if I'm a child, you cannot buy the parts off them unless you're accredited.
Like generic watch parts,
right?
Glasses, crowns, stuff like that. But when it comes to brands, say for instance, Tag Heuer, you have to meet a certain criteria. Your workshop has to be a certain way. You have to have certain tooling. It's quite strict, as it should be, because obviously the brand wants to protect their reputation, and obviously you need to meet their their standards of service. If you're going to serve a customer and repair one of their watches
as an approved,
you're representing. If you're accredited, you're representing them. So I understand why they put them standards in place, and they obviously just want to make sure that some guy in a garage isn't repairing their watches and claiming to be accredited by them. So obviously, then you get the brand gives you a list of tools. You have to make sure you've got those tools. Your workshop has to be how it is. The polishing room's got to be in a separate room. Yeah. So the ideal scenario for most brands is you have to have 3 different rooms: a reception area, a workshop, and a polishing room. Right. Obviously, and it's all got to be closed off. You have to have say your cleaner machines, you have to have them in a cupboard with extraction. So there's lots of things that you have to accommodate to make sure that you're up to scratch with a lot of the brands. And so we've just gone through Cartier accreditation. That's our latest brand that we're going through at the moment. So I passed the bench test.
You got to say it right, mate. Cartier. That's it.
Bonjour. You had to do a bench test over a weekly period. We had to do battery, we had to polish a case, and then they whisked us off to Switzerland for 10 days, which I did last September.
Must have been terrible.
It was awful. It was all paid for.
I know.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Hated it. Didn't want to come home. 30 degrees as well. I was in shorts every day. It was so good. It was just the best thing I've ever done.
What's their site like, mate? It's just
insane.
Unreal. Yeah.
So in Switzerland, where it was a place called Le Loc.
Okay.
And it's the only way to describe it, it's like a valley with a big road going through it. Yeah. And a lot of the brands are all set up there. Yeah. So Cartier had a giant factory. Opposite them was Sellita, which is a watch movement manufacturer. So their factory was there. Yeah. Patek Philippe to the right, Audemars behind.
Wow.
Where my hotel was, Tissot's outside it, Tissot factory.
Unreal.
I walked down the road to go and see the Tudor factory, and the company that makes Tudor's movements is attached to the Tudor factory. Zenith, walked past that one. I went on a massive tour. I spent a day going around taking photos of all the brands I could find.
Wow.
Ulysse Nardin was there. There was loads. It was just like amazing. As someone from my background, I just couldn't believe it. It was just like so good.
Yeah.
And then there was a watch museum in, I think it was one train stop away. So I went to visit that, and I was in there for hours. That had some really, really cool stuff in there.
I can imagine, mate. It's on my list to get out there. I've driven through there a few times on my way to Italy. But it's just been, I've stopped off for a coffee at the services, in on the road, heading towards the Goddard Tunnel. But I've never done the watch bit out there. Like, I'm dying to do it. I'd
love to go back. Now I've been there, I'd love to go back.
Yeah.
In more of like a holiday capacity rather than, because even though I was there for 10 days, I was working for 8 of them. Yeah,
of course.
It was quite a long day. It was like 9 till 6 or something like that.
What are you doing during that time? Like,
funnily enough, with Cartier, they concentrate more on the polishing side.
Really?
The watchmaking side was only 3 days. The rest of it was polishing.
Wow.
Because they're massive on how the watches are finished. That it's got to be perfect. So we spent 5 days with the head polisher.
Yeah.
He was a really nice fella from Mexico. And it was just, I just had a pen and notepad, just like a sponge trying to
absorb everything.
Yeah, absolutely. But it just opened your eyes as to the standards that the brands want. And, the machines, they had like lapping machines, they had Crevossier lapping machines, which are like mega, they're like £15,000 each. And they had like 4 of them lined up.
Explain what they do, mate. Because there's guys listening to this who aren't like fully tooled up on the different techniques. And
so polishing now, you have what's called a lapping machine, which is like a rotating disc, and you have a tool that will hold the case at a certain angle. So when you look at a watch case, you'll see sometimes it'll have a flat edge, or if it's got like a starburst finish on the front, you'll have to, depending on where you touch the disc, gives you a different finish each time. So you'll either have like a tool that'll rotate the case at certain angles and you can get certain finishes that way, or you'll have like a table 90 degrees to the disc. You'll be able to put finishes on that way. But also you'll have like like on my lapping machine, I've also got a belt, which like a vertical belt with different grits. So you can put different finishes on, like flat finishes on the belt. And obviously that's got a table that you can change the angles on. So you can bring cases back to, a lot of the stuff I've seen that's been polished over the years, just, it's like someone's just got a buffing wheel and just hammered the case, and it's all round. Like when you get first get a watch, it's all sharp edges.
Yeah.
And you see them and all the edges are all like rounded off.
Everything's beveled.
Yeah, from years of just abuse on a polishing wheel rather than, there's a lot more to it these days than there used to be. There's a lot more focus on it. I think people are a lot more aware. And if you don't have these tools, then you sort of fall behind, I feel like. So I've invested a lot into that side of it. But I mean, polishers now, they're as good as watchmakers, but it's a separate industry.
Separate trade, yeah.
So if I wanted to learn to be a polisher, I can do it to a certain level.
Yeah.
Like I've had a couple of lads come in and spend days with me teaching me, and they're Rolex accredited polishers. Showing me how to do certain things. But I think unless you're doing it day in, day out, it's quite a really difficult thing to master.
Yeah.
There are some superb people on Instagram,
of course,
who you can follow.
Oh, mate, the internet's one of those, isn't it? You can just fall into a black hole of this stuff. And just
sometimes you look and you just think, oh, wow, I wish I could do it to that sort of standard. But so these people who just polish,
of course,
our business is more concentrated on the service side. The polishing is sort of part of the service. So we can do it to a level. If you want it to factory level, I can get it done for you.
Yeah. But
it's obviously got to cost money.
Of course,
Not a lot of people want to spend that sort of money.
Yeah.
Separate to the service as well.
Of course.
So we do it to a very high standard.
This podcast is sponsored by zulualphastraps.com. Zulu Alpha Straps make some of the best watch straps in the market, and we do it all here in the UK by hand. As a listener of the Making Time podcast, you can enjoy 15% off on your next order by using the discount code MakingTime15. Your support makes this podcast possible. So please head over to zulualphastraps.com so we can continue to bring you fresh content. Now, back to the show. It's interesting, mate, when you're saying when you first get a watch, the sharp edges and this and the other. When I got my E2, the first thing I did, obviously a strap guy, bracelet came off. Yeah. Put my spring bars back on. And mate, I had like no idea just how sharp.
The lines.
Mate, like, on the lugs.
Yeah.
Like I think if I put pressure on that, I could probably pierce skin with it. Do you know what I mean?
Just see it every day.
It's nuts.
And the way to do it is just put a little bit of tape on each lug as you're taking the spring out. And then when you put it back in again, you don't scratch the back of the lugs.
Right, okay,
It's so like simple, but when you see any watch that, you buy a watch these days and it'll give you a couple of straps. So you can interchange it. They're coming out with better systems now where you can change the strap really quickly and there's no spring bars involved. That's probably why. I think Cartier do one and IWC, like a quick release system, which is genius, really.
That makes sense.
Because people like to customize the watches.
Of course.
And change the watch straps is massive now.
Yeah, 100%. It's
part so much bigger now.
It's nuts, mate. You go back 15 years. Yeah. Some people did, maybe.
Yeah.
Now it's almost like, but certain brands, you look at Tudor now, particularly on the FXD, they're almost encouraging you to get out and have fun with it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's made to be that.
It's good.
Yeah, 100%.
It's good. And tools are readily available most places now. You see them all over Amazon and places like that. I mean, obviously they might not be amazing
there are tools
quality,
and then there are tools, though, mate.
Yeah, the person at home who wants to change a watch strap or do a basic repair, you see it all the time. They'll have a crack themselves, which
flea bites all over the lug when they come in to see you. Yeah, it's just those little craters everywhere.
Always here for advice if you want to do it.
On that, mate. I mean, for certainly for the guys who listen to this, obviously into strap changing and stuff like that. It's quite a common thing.
Yeah.
Yes, you can go on Amazon and buy ABC spring bar tool, whatever you want. Do you know what I mean? If let's say you had a collection of a Seamaster, some sort of Tudor, Black Beef, and maybe a Rolex, and you want to cycle through straps and remove bracelets, etc. What's a decent level like spring bar removal tool?
There's a tool.
Who's the brand like?
And it's like Bergen's probably the best brand.
Bergen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my tool that I use is like £120. It's just like a pair of tweezers, but you click the spring out and just pull it out.
Yeah.
I mean, people do use screwdrivers, but you're jamming it in at an angle and you are going to damage the case.
Yeah.
So there's literally a tool for everything. But once you go down that rabbit hole and you're on AliExpress for 4 hours and you've spent £600.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Just to take a bracelet off.
Absolutely, mate. And I see
it's
that.
easily done.
Yeah, no, it is easily done. And like you say, there's a lot of guys out there who are really keen on just having a spring bar tool. Do you know what I mean? Certainly my crowd is, I'm a strap company. My guys want a spring bar tool.
But you don't have to buy a Bergen one.
No.
There are other brands that will make something of similar quality. As I say, have a look on AliExpress. You'll probably find something very similar for a lot less money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes you think, half the time, where are these tools coming from,
That's
got to be made somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. No, it's fair, mate. That's fair. They got to be made somewhere. You're not wrong.
When I first started off, like you can't just go in and buy the best of everything because some tools are crazy money. Like course, even just the tool to take a case back off a watch.
Yeah.
So I use like a steering wheel tool.
Yeah.
And it holds the case. Yeah. And the first one I got was like a Chinese version.
Yeah.
But all the genuine case back dies fitted to it. Yeah, so it did the job for the first 12 months. And then obviously when I got the money, I upgraded to the
Mate, I had a rubber ball.
Swiss one.
That's what I used to use. A rubber ball and just...
In case of emergency.
Yeah, exactly. Bang. Off it
doesn't scratch the watch. So if it does the job, then...
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, tools is... you speak to any watchmaker or watch repairer, you'll just spend tools forever. My polishing room, I probably spent over 20 grand on that last year.
Wow.
So you've got your ultrasonic cleaner, your steam cleaner, obviously the polishing machine. I used to have one where you stand up and put your hands inside it because it used to keep all the dust in.
Oh, with the gloves. Yeah, I do. It was like it reminded me of like sandblasting machine type thing.
The same. And I had to put it on a pallet. I'm 6'6", so my back was killing me. It wasn't high enough. But now, since going to Switzerland and coming back again, I've now got like a really high end. You sit down and polish now. That's the standard. And so I've got the machine. You change the polishing wheels. There's 3 on each spindle, and you've got 4 spindles. There's loads of different spindles that fit to it. Each one does a different job. So that's sat down with all your ventilation and everything. Then I've got the lapping machine, the horizontal lapping machine, which puts the line sideways, and there's a little piece on it which just gets into where the lugs are to put the matte finish, satin finish on the lugs. Then I've got the sandblasting machine for when you're doing sandblasted finishes on tags or Rolex Yachtmaster bezels. You need that for. Laser welding machine. Laser welding's massive now. There's some really good accounts on Instagram after.
Say more on that, mate. Laser welding. Like there's guys who haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. So now, when you are polishing, obviously you are removing material. If you do it right, you're not removing that much material. But obviously, if it's really rounded, to get it back to a sharp edge, you are going to take a lot of material off, because if it's round like that and you've got to get it flat, you've got to take quite a lot off. So laser welding is becoming more and more popular now. It's massive. And it's the ability to weld the material back onto the case and then lap it, so you're not removing as much material. Also, if you get like a ding in your watch, and you can fill the hole in and then lap it or polish it. So you're not taking as much material off the side.
Absolutely.
That's it, really. And it's just, you hold a bit of wire and you're zapping it with a laser. And you're filling it. That's another skill in itself.
Yeah, of course.
I've had to do courses to learn how to do that. And that's what I love about the polishing side of it, is it's like learning a completely new job. And it just fascinates me. So like over the last 18 months, I've sort of, when I'm not repairing watches in the front, I'm in the back learning how to do a different finish on like a practice case.
Of course.
And I'll master that before I touch a customer's watch. But I've also, obviously, I've got a polisher who comes in and does a bit of work for me.
His job is to polish.
So I just give him 8 cases of a weekend. He does them for me. And then I'll just do the more simpler ones. But yeah, so the laser welder's massive. You can laser gold, rose gold, steel. Rolex steel is slightly different to your normal, so you have to get wire for that. It's quite expensive, so you have to import that in. But yeah, it's huge. And just making sure you've got all those tools on site and someone who knows how to use them.
Of course,
Because polishers are on very good money now. Because it's one of those jobs that you just can't find. Hard to find. Trained polishers. And
it's a trade in its own, as you say.
Again, you've either got to go to Switzerland to Ostep to do a course on that, and also you also have to put it's no good just doing the course, because you're not going to come back and be a professional on something. You've then got to put the hours in to get to a standard.
Same as anything, mate. It's 10,000 hours, isn't it? That's how it works. That's how it works. It's getting it to that point.
Well, that's my next course that I plan on doing, is probably going on a Ostep polishing course.
Okay.
Which I don't really need to it, but
that'll be in Switzerland again?
It's in Manchester.
Oh.
Yeah. But
can we get one in Switzerland?
Well, they're
Miami or somewhere nice.
I'll have a word with my wife and just see if she'll let me go away for 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, good luck with that, mate. Yeah.
Good luck with the sun.
If you get that past you, like teach me how that works. Mate. I'd love to learn.
My Jedi mind trick. So yeah, it's I plan on doing that for 3 weeks. It's another certificate, and it's also I just love learning. You never stop learning in this trade. I'll never turn around and say I know everything.
Of course,
I every day you learn something new. And you just want to try your best and help customers. I'm not a smart aleck. I talk to people. We get asked quite a lot of questions on Instagram and Facebook and advice on things, and I'll always, if I can't do something, I'll always send you in the right direction.
Yeah, of course.
Not the I'm not that kind of guy that just holds all the secrets back. This trade needs to carry on going.
Of course,
there needs to be people, independent people in the future who start up watch repairs. And
it's interesting, mate. I think we're at an age now where the changing of the guard is happening. The older guys who did stuff before us are reaching that kind of retirement spot, and very quickly our crowd are going to become the old boys. If that makes any sense.
Well, I think it's more scary now. Trying to go into the industry alone. Probably because of the vast sums of money that you have to put into the business.
That's massive.
But if you're good at it and and you slowly build it up, it can be done. And that's sort of what I want to show on my social page, because I do tend to say, right, we've just bought this tool, it's cost this much, and this is what it does. And that's great nowadays on Instagram and YouTube and everything. You see all these people showing off the tools and how they work, and it piques interest, and more people are interested in then getting into the job, because when you come out of school, who thinks, oh, I want to be a watch repairer?
Mate, it's one of those, isn't it? I never anticipated to be a strap maker, but you just find where you are.
Well, if my dad didn't do it, I don't know what.
Oh, mate,
who knows? I think I would have gone into like graphic design or something like that. I quite enjoy doing like logos and things like that. But it's one of those jobs where you only ever end up doing it if like you're an apprentice, or you just randomly find it and do a course.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not an obvious thing, an obvious route, is it? It's not. It really isn't. And I think that ties in as well, mate, where we live in a world now where everything's instant.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things
that's a big problem, because the job takes so long to get good at.
Yeah.
And you have to stick with it.
Yeah.
And I think if you haven't got the patience, you're not going to be good at it.
For you. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You've got to have the patience, you've got to have the perseverance to crack on and go through the motions and get your hours done and everything else. And learn.
You will have days where you want to tear your hair out.
Yeah, that's the same in anything, isn't it?
Some days you come home and you go, what? I can't believe this is even called a job. I bloody love it. Other days I'm like, right, I want to quit. I need to go and work for someone else.
No. Yeah. But that tip, most of the time, mate, that's not the job. Or it's like stuff that's happened because you own the business. The job is the job. The job's great. Do you know what I mean? That's why we love the job. It's the extra bits.
If you love your job, you're very lucky.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So question for you, mate, like, what's the wackiest, most weird watch you've come across in your journey?
I've had a Paul Newman in.
Have you?
I just held it.
Wow.
That was enough for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get things in, you're just like, right, I know how much that's worth.
Yeah.
And it's not worth the insurance claim or the hassle to open it, because I just want an easy life. I don't want to be touching stuff like that. And, you see like Audemars, and people message and go, do you do Audemars? Do you do like these brands? And if you can't get the parts for them, I'm not taking it apart, because you might get halfway through it and then there's a broken part in there. You can't get it.
Yeah.
You just wasted half a day.
Of course, yeah.
So I tend to try and stick in my lane, brands that we can get parts for. If I can't get parts for, I'll just say, it's not for me. Here's a good place to go and take it.
Yeah.
I just don't need the stress.
Of course. I get that.
But we do have some. I've got a Bell & Ross in at the minute, which is, I love it.
Really?
I've never seen one before. It's like a blue sort of skeleton sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's got like a square case.
Yeah.
The exhibition case back, and the rotor on it is like a steering wheel.
Wow.
And I love it.
Yeah.
It's a really, really nice looking watch. We just get a bit of everything.
What stands out to you now? Like, how do you judge watches? What do you...
I love 1970s Amigas.
Okay.
With the rose colour movements. I just think they're stunning. Yeah. And it's a shame that they don't reproduce them with like exhibition casebacks so the clients can see the movements, because we get to see the nice bit.
Yeah.
And you just see the outside when you get it given back.
Yeah.
So the outside's got to look $1 million.
Yeah.
But sometimes when clients come in, I always say, have you seen the movement in these?
Yeah.
Have you seen what they look like? And I'll take pictures of them.
Yeah.
And put them on Instagram and go, this is, what your watch looks like inside. Or I'll send them to the client and go, you can have that framed if it's like a sentimental watch.
Of course, yeah.
Or this is a picture of it in pieces. So
wow.
you can print that off at home and, stick it on your wall and go, this is like granddad's watch.
Of course,
Getting repaired. But I love it when the movement just looks, I don't know, just sort of, I like the rose gold colour.
Yeah.
But some movements just look really a bit boring.
When
you're working on them, you're like, I like something that just looks bit different, something that a bit more work goes
Stands
into
out,
it.
yeah. Polishing,
you can tell
finishing,
the high quality stuff.
Yeah. Blue screws.
I'd say the higher end watches are probably easier to work on because everything
Really?
just fits. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. There's a lot of time, energy, and effort gone into the design around
when you change a part, it just fits.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
There's some watches that, older stuff, and you not everything's made exactly the same.
Of course.
You might order 10 parts and they're all slightly different.
Yeah.
But they are for that watch.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I do like working on the vintage stuff, but I've grown up repairing vintage watches. So there's lots of little nuances with the movements.
Of course.
Like different, when you're changing the time on your watch and you can just feel that little bit of resistance.
Yeah.
That's called friction.
Okay.
So you'll have your center wheel that goes through the center, cannon pinion pops on the top.
Yeah.
And if the friction's too loose on that, it won't carry the hands.
Right.
But the friction is not always in the center of the watch. On some vintage watches, they moved it to a different wheel.
Wow.
And if you're new and you've never done one before, you don't do vintage watches, you wouldn't know about it.
Yeah.
So I love the way that they chuck like little, like AS movements. They throw like little thinkers in for you. And if you've never serviced them before, then you can struggle. And then you see people asking questions online.
Yeah.
Can't move the hands.
Yeah. So what's the plan for prime time, mate? Like, I think you started this jokingly, as we joked about earlier, where like, you wanted to plow your own field and you wanted to, take on the work you wanted to take on, but it's slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So what's
if you
world
ask my
domination?
Wife, I've got a new plan every week. I'm torn really.
On what?
I don't know. Do you want to expand? Do you want to open 2 or 3 shops, or do you want to just stay and have one really good one and just make that the best it can be? Which I think is probably the route I'll go down. I've worked where we've had 2 premises and like 10 staff, and dealt with day to day on that, and it is really stressful. Yeah, and I think sometimes when I speak to business owners who've expanded, they've said, "I just wish I'd just kept one shop." And also, my son's only 3, so I sort of, I think you only get one shot when they're kids, and you want to spend as much time with them as possible, because once those years are gone, you don't get them back. And I think
it's only about 10 years where they want us around.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? So like, they've got to be more important than I've got ambition, but I think that's more important.
Yeah,
I think as you get older, you realise
it's a balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a balance.
Yeah. A friend of mine, another watchmaker, said that he worked tirelessly when his kids were growing up, and he sort of missed them growing up. And his one bit of advice for me when I started up was just don't miss your kids growing up, because once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so I think that, that's always in the back of my head when I'm working late sometimes, or I'm just like, gosh, should be home reading him a book, or.
Of course, yeah. I admit it's interesting you say that. Older guy I work with, must have been 8 years ago, had a similar story. He had a decent sized business. He'd sold it for 6 figures.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a good relationship with his kids. That's all. Because he worked, and this is his rationale, he worked that hard trying to provide a good lifestyle for them. He gave them everything but time.
Yeah.
And that was the sin.
Time's the most important thing you can give your kids, isn't it? Yeah.
But again, same as anything in life, mate, it's a balance.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle. Like having all the time in the world and an onion in the fridge doesn't help.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's a balance. You've got to find that balance. So
but also you want to show them that, this is how hard dad works.
Yeah.
My dad worked unbelievably hard.
Yeah.
So you sort of want to be that mentor and show him that you can't get anywhere unless you put the hours in. Yeah. But at the same time, spend a lot of time with him and make sure, he's a good lad, and you see him all the time.
Of course, yeah.
I don't want to be the guy who's always in work.
Yeah. No, mate, 100%. So for now, I think by the sounds of it, you're kind of leaning towards keep the shop solo, do your thing, build it up.
At the moment, we're really busy. It's got to a point now where I'm starting to get a little bit of freedom, I think, like in terms of the work that's coming in. We're busy enough now. I've got the staff where, if I want to nip out for a coffee, even just little things like that, you just want to nip out for an hour. Or if a friend comes in, when there was only 1 or 2 of us in there,
it's hard to do.
You can't leave.
Yeah.
But now I can just, I've got people in, so I can just go and have a coffee with a mate for an hour who I haven't seen for ages, or just nip out for a little bit. And it's just little things like that.
Yeah, of course.
Go and have a sit outside. It's actually quite a nice place to work.
You are in a pretty place, mate, to be fair.
When the sun's out and the tables are outside and everyone's having a beer and I'm looking out the window, jealous.
Sun's cracking the flags, everyone's having a good time.
It's just a really nice part of the world.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
And I think sometimes I'm just like, you've just got to realise that the important things in life, really. It's not all about
100%.
It's not all about work, I think.
Mate, it's again, it's a balance. Everything's a balance, mate.
Absolutely.
It needs to exist in a balance. So for me, mate, like I've seen you work. I've brought stuff to you. Like you know, I've pointed a number of people in your direction, and I haven't had one complaint ever.
Yeah, well, customers, like it's a massive part of my sort of ethos is customer service. Make sure someone goes away happy. I'd never. You sort of take it personally, don't you, as a business
100%.
owner? If you read a bad Google review, you take it home with you and you think about it. So I just make sure that everything goes out, everyone's happy. And, at the end of the day, the customer is the most important thing, because without the customer, you don't have a business.
Of course.
And I think sometimes some big businesses need to bring that back, that, the clients are the ones that put you where you are.
Of course, absolutely, mate. You're not wrong there. It's
it does get lost sometimes, I think.
I think
old school customer service. That's what I like. Just bring them in, have a chat. You are coming to get something repaired, but I would like to know a bit about you as a person. Because it sort of gives you an idea of what sort of level of service you want and where you want to be, what you want to spend. That's the thing about having an independent business, is that you might not want to spend this much money. So I can go, we can do this. It's a bit cheaper. Maybe we won't polish the watch, or maybe you don't want to do this, or you don't want to do that. We'll try and work to your budget. It's not just right, this is the price, yes or no. See you later. It's what can we do?
You've got flexibility around that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, for an example, a guy came in last week. He's got a vintage watch. It's sentimental to him. Doesn't want it serviced. It was running not particularly well, but he just wanted a new crown on it and new glass. The service price was more than the watch was worth. So I just said, I'll tell you what, I'll put a crown and glass on it for you. Obviously can't give a guarantee on the watch work. And he said, not bothered. It's just going to go in the drawer. I'm just going to look at it every now and again. It's his watch. Of course. If that's what he wants, that's not a problem at all. As long as, you don't come back and go, it's not working.
Exactly.
Said, well, we're not servicing it.
The customer service plays a massive part, mate. And that's how you build your reputation, and that's why people trust you as well. Do you know what I mean? Because essentially you're leaving. A customer will come to you and they leave a lot of money in a box with you. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is.
It's your reputation as well. At the end of the day, if someone goes away and they're not happy, I'd feel unhappy.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's like it's not. Every day when I go in and I speak to people, I just want them to be really happy with the repair. Of
course.
And go tell their friends.
Yeah.
That's how it works, essentially. You get good service, you go and tell your mates in the pub.
Mate, 100%. I in my group of friends, I'm the guy that does the watch thing.
Yeah.
Like most people don't.
Same.
Yeah, they're like, are you still doing that watch thing? Yeah. Oh, well, what it is, I've got an issue with this. I'm like, can you help? Do you know a guy that can do the, I'm like, prime time.
Yeah.
Like, go and speak to those guys.
Used to go to a pub in my 20s and come back with 5 watches.
Mate, I believe that.
Take to work the next day.
I believe that.
God almighty.
Like,
you never stop working, do you?
Mate, it's epic. Like, as far as people sending you stuff to repair and check out and look at, I'm conscious, mate, like a lot of the guys who are watching this are going to have bits that they want doing, or services or touch-ups or whatever it may be, mate. Are you open to people sending you stuff?
We do postal repairs, but obviously if you've got something expensive, there are a lot of really great watchmakers in the country, watch repairers, watch techs. So if you message me, for instance, and you say you're down south, I can always point you in the right direction.
Brilliant.
A lot of watchmakers, it's like quite a small community because there's not a lot of us around the UK. I've got a WhatsApp group with watchmakers from around the world, guys from Australia in there. So if someone says, I need a watch repair, and I'll always say, well, where are you based? Don't send that up in the post, because it's not worth hassle sometimes. So if I can find someone local to you, I'll always just point you in that direction.
Brilliant.
Especially if it's someone usually someone I trust who,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd always say if you're going to take your watch into somewhere a professional, just look at their qualifications, look what certificates they've got, and how long the business has been about.
Yeah.
And just do your research.
Yeah.
Just do your research. Because you do get some horror stories where...
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And I suppose that's what I'm getting to is like, for me personally, you're my go-to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if people ask me for stuff, then I point them to you. And I know that will sit with some of the folks listening on this. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm comfortable. I'll get in touch with them and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, but we do work for another military brand as well, who we're like the after-sales service for them.
Yeah.
So like if they have any issues with like watches that are out of guarantee, they've got our address on their website. So we do get a lot of like postal repairs from them. Nice. It's normally just basic repairs, to be honest. But we do quite a lot of things like that. But I'd always advise, don't be chucking your, really expensive watch in the post. Unless you've checked all other areas, you might have somewhere local.
Of course. Yeah.
You'd feel a lot more comfortable just walking in somewhere and handing them a watch than putting in the post.
Oh, definitely. So, mate,
it scares me to death, the post.
Mate, yeah. I was talking to James Gibble last week, mate. He was sat there where you are. And he's a trader, dealer, basically, in watches. Yeah. And like one of the main things he does that really excites me is like his packaging. Like his packaging is insane. Like you could literally do keep ups. Do you know what I mean? With the watch when it arrives, kick it on the office. It's not a problem. But the post is a nightmare for it, mate. Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare for it.
It's scary, isn't it? I think a lot of there's a YouTube channel I was watching, luxury watch company, I think it is, in Skipton. And he did like a little mini YouTube series. I've met Charlie. He's a really nice fella. And I remember he sold a watch and he put a tracker in it to make sure it got to the client's house.
Wow. So
he had it on his phone to make, because I always wondered, people sending me these really expensive, you're talking like 80, 90 grand watches in the post. Yeah. And you think, I don't know how you sleep at night.
That's like, fair, mate.
You must have some good insurance when you're dealing with
You'd have to. One of the guys that does pictures for us, he's done some pictures of some serious watches, and they sent 4 or 5 pieces to him with a human being and a briefcase, and they arrived at his facility and basically said, right, here are your pieces.
Yeah.
How long do you need? Oh, about 4 hours. Superb. I'll sit you. Out of newspaper, come up with his briefcase, and there's the heavy basically sat there waiting for him to be finished so he can take the watches back.
Crikey. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not the world. I like to just stay in my lane sort of thing, repair what I know and stick to what falls under our insurance category, I think.
Absolutely, mate. No, absolutely.
Leave the rest of the people with the bigger insurance and the bigger companies, because it's the end of the day, you want to go home and sleep at night. You don't want to be
100%.
Having all that kind of stuff.
There's enough stress in life, mate, without worrying about what's going on after. Yeah. So, mate, listen, once again, thanks for coming in, mate. Where can the people find you? I know you do a lot on social.
Yeah, so we're on Instagram at Primetime Watch Repairs. We're on Facebook, Google. We've got a website on there, and there's a phone number if you need to ask us anything. Fire us an email, socials. It's basically a one-man, me and my phone.
So really, no stupid questions.
Phone never stops ringing.
Good stuff. Yeah. Mate, mega. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've never done one of these before. I'm very. I was quite nervous, but quite.
Mate, no, it's nice. It's comfy.
It's nice.
And that's what it's meant to be. It's like a chat in a boozer, mate. Or a
absolutely.
pub for our international listeners.
Yeah.
Like a chat in a pub, 2 lads just chatting. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And comfort, and it's just an honest conversation. But I think you wanted to give a shout out to your little one, mate, before we close this off.
Yeah, so my little one's 3, so I just want to say, hi, Ethan. Have a good day, mate. Love you.
Ethan, that's your dad, mate. He's a good man. I hope you enjoy it. Pal, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll catch you soon. Guys, until next time.